Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Crime Rewind. My name is Jen Marie, and I'm going to be talking about an update that has happened recently on a case that I did last year, that of Joshua Harmon, who was killed in May of 1988, and until now, it has been unsolved. But 33 years later, in 1988, the Roswell Police Department, Roswell, Georgia, have finally made an arrest in connection to Joshua's murder. So I'm extremely pleased about this, and I'm sorry it took me because it's been about 3 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, since this has happened, and I know I'm a little late. Well, I'm late getting this update out, but you know, life and stuff. But I'm super excited, and I hope everybody else is too, because this has been a long time coming. 33 years. So let me go over, in case you haven't watched that video of mine, I suggest you go watch that, because I cover a lot of all the details, probably some that you haven't heard in the news and whatnot from people. So I'm going to go over it real quick for those of you who don't know the case and aren't familiar with Joshua. So on May 15th, 1988, Joshua Randall Harmon went missing from the Roswell, Georgia apartment complex where he lived with his mother, Sherry, and his stepfather, Douglas. 2 days later, his mostly nude body was located in the wooded area behind the complex where he lived. He had been covered in dirt, pine straw, and also pieces of wood. Logs were placed on top of him. And the cause of death was asphyxiation, and because of his mostly nude body, they assumed that a sexual assault must have taken place as well, although they never authorities never confirmed that happened. I can only assume that is what happened. The GBI got involved, had several suspects over the years, but they focused primarily on Douglas, who was the stepfather, and focused on him as being the murderer. But the case very quickly went cold, and there have been no new leads in 30 plus years. But that has changed very recently. This year, in February of 2021, with the permission of Joshua's family, his body was actually exhumed from where he was buried in the hopes of gathering and discovering new evidence. And so because of the advances that have been made in scientific technology, such as with DNA and things like that, they decided to exhume his body and see if there was something, he was killed in 1988, so of course DNA was not even a thing. Well, it was a thing, but very rarely, not very much was known about it, or how to test for it and how to, all that. So in 30 years, things have changed quite a bit. So they exhumed his body, and they actually did find DNA on his body. They don't go into detail about where the DNA was found, whatever. I'm sure they will after the trial, if there is a trial. And so they found DNA, and they had it tested, which led them to the suspect that they arrested. And this man, his name is James Michael Coates. He's 56 years old, a resident of Woodstock, Georgia. And they arrested him on July 21st without incident. And apparently they pulled him over in a routine traffic stop, but he was in the back of an Uber. Poor Uber driver. Can you imagine, that poor driver, what he must be thinking? So that's just crazy, but without incident, and he was taken to the Fulton County jail to be booked in, and he was booked on 10 charges, and here's the list of those charges: murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, aggravated sodomy, aggravated child molestation, enticing a child for indecent purposes, false imprisonment, first-degree child cruelty, concealing the death of another, and also tampering with evidence. That's a lot. Hopefully they all stick. And apparently James Michael Coates was already a convicted child molester. Now, his convictions that he has took place after Joshua's murder, so not before. But he has already been convicted for crimes that had taken place in 1990 and also in 1993. And according to the Georgia Department of Corrections, the 93 conviction put him in jail for 20 years. 20 years. That's a long time, which they don't give child molesters much time, which is sad. But 20 years is a very long time, so he must have done something horrible. I don't know the exact details of what happened, but it must have been bad. And like I said, these crimes, they took place after James Michael Coates had already murdered Joshua. So he's currently being held in the Fulton County Jail. And this is something crazy that I was pretty shocked to read about when I saw it. For those of you who watched my original video on Joshua, I had said that it was obvious to me that Douglas, the stepfather, had nothing to do with it, and the other couple suspects that they had talked about or focused on, I just didn't think any of them were viable suspects. And there was a couple instances on the day Joshua disappeared and was murdered where he had interactions with a male neighbor that lived in the same apartment complex. And this information came from Sherry, Joshua's mother, because Joshua himself had been running in and out of the apartment all day, and had told his mother several times about these conversations he had had with this male neighbor. And I said that I thought it was very strange, these interactions with this man, and I wanted to know if the police had questioned this man. I would have hoped that the police would question him. Nothing was ever said. Nothing. The only information came from Sherry, and she never said what happened with that. If she told the police that about this man, she had never said, and nothing like that was ever mentioned by anyone else but Sherry. So, this is the interesting thing. Apparently, James Michael Coates was a resident of the same apartment complex, which is the Roundtree Apartments. Now that I think it's called the River Crossing at Roswell. James Michael Coates was a resident of the same apartment complex at the same time that Joshua lived there. And they were both, Joshua and his family, James Michael Coates, all residents of the same apartment complex at the time of Joshua's murder. So, I hate to brag, but I seriously called it. Like, I would bet money, I would place money on it that James Michael Coates is that man that had those interactions with Joshua, where he gave Joshua 3 yellow roses to give to his mother, and then Joshua left and went back outside, apparently back to this guy's apartment, and because Joshua told him about his Tiger's Eye rock, and they were talking about that. And Joshua came back and told his mother about this interaction, and I said I thought all that was very weird for a single male adult to have that kind of interactions with small children. I mean, without knowing who they are or meeting their parents, or I don't know. I thought it was important enough that the man should have been investigated and questioned by the Roswell Police Department. Now, like I said, these charges of child molestation he didn't receive and be convicted of until after Joshua's murder. So if they would have done a background check on this man, maybe nothing probably would have come up about him being a convicted child molester. But I mean, a single male, next building over. I mean, I just don't know, because unfortunately Sherry passed away in October of last year, so she never got to see her son's killer brought to justice. You know, I don't know if she told the police about this man. And in the press conference, and there is a very long, like a 30-minute long press conference that involved the Roswell Police Department, the GBI, the family is also there. Sherry's sister Marlene gets up and makes a statement, and you know, and of course they state the facts and what happened and all that. But a lot of the press conference is them congratulating each other and patting each other on the back, saying, "Oh, great job," and everybody did so great, and due to the dedication and hard work of everyone involved, blah 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 blah. That would, to me, seemed like that's what the whole press conference was about. Was just like, you know, telling each other how great they are, you know. So, you know, and yeah, they did. I'm glad they went back to it. I'm glad they decided to exhume his body and get DNA. And obviously, I'm very happy that this animal, this piece of shit, was taken off the streets, because obviously he's just a horrible human being. I mean, I can't believe he got away with murder for 30 years. It's disgusting. But I don't care. I still think that there's things that could have been done that this guy would have been caught a lot sooner. I really do. I do. I mean, you know, according to the GBI's profile, their profile of the killer themselves, from them, you know, they said that this man would be, when confronted with his behavior, when confronted with something, the man would become explosive, angry, combative, all these things. So, I mean, if that's the case, if the GBI's profile was correct, then if they questioned this man or talked to him, they would have been able to see certain things that he would have shown to raise red flags, you know. And I'm pretty sure, you know, I know, because Joshua was practically naked. He didn't have any clothes on except for, I think it was one sock or something like that. So James Michael Coates, he took his clothes. He had his clothes. If they could have been, if something would have caught their attention on this man, they might have been able to get a search warrant to search his apartment and found it, and maybe find evidence. And he could have been caught, like, not long after. You know, so it makes me wonder, like, what was he even questioned? I mean, you would think they would have questioned every male in the apartment complex. So I don't know. I mean, they're not saying anything except how great they are. So I still have questions. I still want to know questions. I still, I don't know. Keep your eyes peeled for updates, more updates. The news. Keep watching the news, and see. I hope they can keep this guy in custody and put him away. I really do. I hope this DNA evidence is solid. I do, because I don't. That would be horrible for the family to have to go through that after 30 years. You know, and Joshua's father, Larry, he was at the press conference too, and you know, it's just they're almost in like a daze, and they're shocked, because they never thought that this would happen, you know, in their lifetime, anyways. The guy being caught, so they're just grateful. They want closure, and they need this. They need him to go to prison. They need him to be held accountable for what he did to this 8-year-old little boy. I mean, seriously, he needs to be held accountable, and this family needs this. They need it. And the police also, they want to know, they want to find out also if James Michael Coates has murdered and or molested any other children. So if you have any information, if you yourself have had interactions with this man, please call the Roswell Police Department, and I'll put their number in the description box for you to do that. So yeah, I just want to give an update. It's very exciting. I'm very happy to finally. I mean, little kids are always hard when they're obviously murdered. It's extremely hard, and that case was really tough on me to do because I have an 8-year-old boy, and it was just really tough for me to do. I mean, there's no excuse. No one has a good reason or a reason to kill a child. So it just still makes me sad, obviously, and also that Sherry's not here to see it. So I just wanted to report on that. Like I said, keep your eye out for any future updates and on this man. And thank you for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. And my name is Jen Marie, and I'll catch you on the flip side.